And when we talk about hitting that target, there's a couple things we want to think about from a carcass characteristic standpoint. One of those is carcass weight, and typically we want to have that carcass weight ideally from 600 to 900 pounds, but actually on today's grids we really don't start seeing discounts for the most part until we get over 950 or over 1,000 pounds. But the reason we don't want that carcass getting too big or too small is it impacts the size of our cuts to get that weight that consumers looking for. And so that's something we want to think about in our breeding program, is to make sure we produce an animal that can hit that acceptable carcass weight standpoint. And so on a live weight standpoint, what you would typically be looking at is an animal somewhere roughly from about 1,000 to 1,350 pounds. And then what we want to think about from a quality standpoint, when we think about quality, that's a quality grade, that's a combination of marbling as well as lean maturity. Marbling is what everybody focuses on, and we're not saying everybody needs to raise prime cattle out there, but what we want to do from an industry standpoint is we want to make sure those cattle are select or better. So select, choice, or prime would all fit that target we're looking for. And then from a yield grade standpoint, when we think about yield grades, those go from 1 to 5 on the USDA scale, with 1 being a very lean animal that has a lot of red meat or a lot of retail product yield, and a 5 being typically a lighter muscled animal, or definitely an animal that's carrying quite a bit more fat on it. And what we want to typically shoot for is from a yield grade 1 to 3. We really want to try to eliminate those yield grades 4 and 5s because we get a lot of fat trim and loss on those carcasses. And then from a ribeye area, when we think about beef, where we can really excel with beef compared to some of the other meat products out there, is that quality eating experience. And so we think about that ribeye, the center of the plate for a lot of people, and we would want that ribeye from about 11 to 15 inches. And if we think back to that carcass spec we talked about, we think about that live weight finished animal standpoint, both of those would help get us to that 11 to 15 inch ribeye.